This is for the Maroons in the Blue Mountains of Jamaica. This is for all my Native American Moors of Turtle Island just minding their business in Canada until all this colonization bullshit. Ronnie! My bad, Auntie.
Chill, this is for now.
It's Mike Ross, also known as Mike on the Mic, the nation's sexiest comedian, the nation's #1 side nigga, and the nation's only stripper comedian. Ladies, I'll be touring and I'll be live in a city near you. Make sure you're in the building. Make sure you purchase your tickets. Don't miss out on another amazing sold-out show as always. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. I'm your brother Oga from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and sitting across from me is my co-host.
What up, y'all? It's your man Sam, Ant, CEO of Viral Hip Hop News. You're in the building for a special edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We got a special guest in the building, the friend of the show.
Yeah.
Good brother Mike Ross, a.k.a. Mike on the Mic. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
What's up, fellas? Hey, it's always a pleasure to see you two good brothers. How you feeling?
Likewise, brother. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to see you too, man, and get to watch your growth on the comedy stage and you doing your thing, man. We've known you for some years now, as crazy as that is to say. You know what I'm saying? Years now.
Yeah.
But definitely still a pleasure to have you on, man. So how you feeling, man? I mean, we got a lot going on in the comedy world. You got a lot going on, man. So just brief the people real quick. How you doing, man, and what you got going on?
I feel amazing. Life is good, you know, being 51 and still, you know, being here on earth is a blessing. Like you said, watching the career slowly, well, not slowly, but, you know, evolve and grow. And it's amazing to see my career flourish and grow along with the YouTube because, you know, you guys were there for the inception, and I'm watching you guys grow as you watching me grow as well. So that's a beautiful, you know, harmony.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, right? I'm going to get to the shits real quick. Obviously, people that watch Viral Hip Hop News, they know that you promote on the platform. You promote, you know what I mean? You're where you're located, where you're gonna do your comedy set, and basically who you are as Mike Ross, right? And for those of you who don't know, you're a comedy stripper, and we've talked about this a million times throughout interviews on what kind of motivated you to do that kind of stuff, right? But I had an interesting comment come through today, and I wanted to read it to you and get your response. You were involved in it, brother by the name of Von Tepp, and shout out to Von Tepp because he said he was a supporter, and we you know what I mean, we rock with all the supporters whether they agree or not. But this is what he said. He said that comedian in front of the video is nasty work, my boys. He said, y'all got to do better. Can't just be promoting anything. All money ain't good money, my boys. And my response was, we grown men over here, my guy. He's a comedian. He didn't have his meat all in the camera disrespecting anyone. He's a good brother. Grow up, fam. And his response was this. Where does my maturity come into question? If he's such a quote-unquote good brother and his message is so great and or needed for the community, why would you promote him for free? Maybe something is wrong with me, but as a man, I can't see myself promoting a ninja stripper. But hey, get y'all money. I F with your platform. I guess I had different expectations for y'all brothers. Salute to Von Tepp once again for supporting the platforms and things like that, supporting the movement. But
I'm not mad at Von Tepp. I'm not mad at Von Tepp at all. I respect Von Tepp. And actually, if I was Von Tepp in his position, I probably feel like Von Tepp felt. But I'm Mike Ross. And guess what? My audience is the women. The women love it. Everywhere I went, the women go crazy. It's 90-10. I get 90% women, 10% men. Like LL Cool J audience is 90% women, 10% men. We mess with LL, but he's for the ladies. So he's not concerned with the 10% of the men that's saying, I didn't want to see his abs. So Von Tepp, you might not like it, but your mother like it, your grandmother like it, your aunties like it, and your girl gonna like it.
There it is, bro.
Real talk.
Response right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, so when did you first, like, when was the first time you even thought to add that to your act as a comedian? Talk about that. Like, when the first time that happened.
It was my first show. I did it for Tina Graham, and I got to give the credit to Isha Mayfield. She saw the vision. She was a comedian. She said, you have to do the comedy. And I didn't see it. I was a firefighter. So once she pushed me out there and convinced me to do it, after the first show, now no stripping was involved. It was just pure comedy and just me basing my material off being me. After the show, the ladies was like, when is his next show? We want to see him again. She said this was his first show ever. They said, no way. And she was like, no, this is his first show. I just convinced him to do it. So they said, well, we're glad that he was funny, because if he wasn't funny, we were going to ask him to strip. He could have stripped for us. This is what the ladies said. So
Okay.
that idea came to my mind. I'm like, I'm up here doing my best impersonation and trying to make you women laugh, and you're thinking about sex. Sex sells. So I said, okay, if this is, well, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not trying to be arrogant or narcissistic. I was a firefighter. I work out. I stay in shape. So if the ladies are looking at my body and saying, while he's telling jokes, this is what I'm looking at, I don't look like Kevin Hart. I don't look like Bruce. I don't look like these comedians. So I said, okay, let me play on what the women want. Now, if you like Shakira, her music might be all right, but we are definitely liking that she's in a tight miniskirt shaking her ass. If you like Beyonce, you might like her music, but she's wearing something that she's revealing herself. So sex sells, and the ones, the Little Kims, the Nicki Minaj's, along with whatever they're doing, they're selling their brand. So my brand happened to be my body. My brand happens to be comedy. Now, I can tell you this much. If I wasn't funny, if it wasn't working, I wouldn't be here traveling the nation. I wouldn't be here selling out. I wouldn't be on different platforms if that wasn't the case. I just got called in for a Italian Champagne platform, and it just went bananas with the women saying they can't wait to come to the show. My shows are sold out. I just went to the Say Word podcast with Joseph Willie.
Okay.
They called me on there for the mere fact that they said your show is engaging, it's different. We want to promote this. So obviously there's a lane for what I'm doing. Now it might not be for everybody, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I wanted, because like I said, we've been following this journey since you started, since its inception, like you said. How was booking this act early on, and how is it came over the last couple, let's say the last year or so, and what would you think the change was as it projected up? Like, what would you say like that deciding factor was in taking it to a different level?
The reality of it is, it's a shock factor, and I think in comedy, I was able to equate entertainment. And it's not like I'm sitting here just taking off all my clothes. It comes within the context of a joke. So as I tell the joke, then after the joke hits, that's part of the show, and it's the closing of the show. So the women enjoy it. They find it humorous, and the men say, I caught what you did there. So if you're mature enough to say, I'm not looking at you, I'm not attracted to you, but what you did was kind of smooth and it went over, if it's winning for you, hey, it is what it is. But it's been growing. I'm gonna tell you a story. I did one show a couple years back, and I didn't strip after the show. And the ladies went crazy. They said, we brought our girlfriends here. We were waiting for you to strip, and you didn't strip, and they were upset. So from that point on, I know that was my close. That was my encore. I had to strip after every show.
How long is typically your sets?
It all depends on the venue, where I'm at. When I'm headlining, I do an hour. If I'm opening for somebody, I probably do 15 to 20 minutes. So it all depends on where I'm at and where I'm at in the lineup. But when it's my show, I give you 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, yeah, you working. That's a big set, 40 minutes. Okay.
Have you shared the stage with any
man, I just at the end of the year, my last show, I had to share the stage with Bill. Bill Bellamy did 3 sold out shows, and they added a Sunday, and I was on that show. I just did a show in Phoenix with Shane Forbes, D.L. Hughley. The list goes on. Once you get rolling, the names come. Tony Roberts, Tony Woods, Hamburger. So many legends, it just becomes part of the process after a while.
Hamburger, I ain't heard that name since Def Comedy Jam days.
Hey, Hamburger's still out here doing it, baby. He's still making it happen.
Still working.
Shout out to Hamburger.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked. I forgot who we talked. Well, Faison just a couple days ago. We talked about how it seemed like when we grew up watching and loving comedy. You know what I mean? When we start seeing some of them stars grow into their thing, it didn't seem as though it was a lot of beef the way you see it now. And you on the road with a lot of people. You're on the road with a lot of vets in the comedy game, new people, as I'm sure. What's the temperature like out there when it comes to the overall coalition with comedians as you see it right now?
I'm different when it comes to that. The biggest compliment I ever got was by the godmother of comedy, Tina Graham. She said, "You're a comedian's comedian because you are on the scene, but you don't get caught up in it. Once I'm done, I'm going back to my hotel room or I got things to do. So I'm around you doing the entertainment. I'm around you doing the show. But when the show is over, I'm gone. So if you have a problem, that's a problem with you. You can't have a problem with me because I guess I keep my head down and I'm so focused on me. I miss, the beefs and the dramas and so many people have different history that I wasn't part of. So I'm not choosing any alliances or any sides life is too short for drama. I'm 51 years old. Like, I'm just happy I woke up in the morning.
Word.
Absolutely.
So when you look at you are comedian out of North Jersey, for those of you who don't know, and you did a lot of stuff in Jersey to kind of start and build your foundation. What was the first time you started getting calls outside of New Jersey, and when did that start becoming consistent? Because now you're moving, like now you outside of Jersey a lot. So how did that
Ironically, it started out of Jersey before it started in Jersey because the video I did when I first stripped went viral. So I went to college in Texas. I went to Texas Southern University in Houston. So people start calling. Yeah, so people start calling me from everywhere. When you go to college at HBCU, you get so many connections with people who are everywhere. And I was getting calls from Vegas with my connections in Vegas. I know people who know the Mayweather family, and they were able to get me into Stockton and Sacramento, and I opened up for Tony Roberts, and I was in Louisiana. So I really started on the road. And from starting on the road, people start looking at me here and saying, okay, if he's opening up for people like Tony Roberts, then he must be somebody. Then they start booking me here.
Wow.
When you from here.
So I'm from here. So, it's weird when you go on the road and you go other places and your hometown see that you're doing it, then they legitimize you and say, okay, if you're doing this in Cali, if you're doing this in Louisiana, if you're doing this in Texas, then you're official. That means we want to see you at home. They want to claim you then.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any experience where, cause I know some people say like different parts of the country, it's different audiences, different attitudes, different people. Was there ever any part of the country where it was like these people was kind of different, and just tell us about the experience you had like that?
Well, the dirty South is the dirty South, baby. So soon as you hit that Mason-Dixon line, it all goes. They love that. The women are waiting. They throwing dollars at me. Atlanta has become my base. So I'm getting ready to move to Atlanta because I've been having shows out there so often, and so many people from Jersey moved to Atlanta. So and me doing the movies, I said that's going to be, the new black Hollywood. So that's going to be great for my career. But I was able to catapult off Atlanta, and they just received me with so much love and embraced it. And the most difficult part was East Coast, because brothers up here are kind of pretentious. They like, yo, bro, you out here stripping. I'm here with my girl. I came to see a show. I ain't came to see nobody with they thinking in my face. So it's here where I get the most drama. But in the dirty South, they all for that, baby. They all for that.
I love the South, man.
Damn sure we do. Damn sure do. Let's talk about the whole Katt Williams situation. And I didn't want to ponder on that too much because obviously it's every damn where, right? But
how could you not?
You know what I'm saying? How did it, I don't want to say jumpstart because you're doing your thing, but how did you see a change when we seen that whole controversy going between him and the comedians, and then that's that interview overall? I know you said you seen the temperature get real different out here in these comedy streets after that happens. So talk about that, brother.
Man, like you gotta be kind of enamored in how Katt has captivated the nation. He's captivated our culture, other people's culture, and the man is such a mad scientist and a mad genius in how he thinks. He knew he was calculated in how he approached it and what he wanted to do and how he went at it. And you just have to give him kudos because he held on to a lot of his truths. And he held on to them until it was time. So when somebody's playing chess and not checkers, all you can say is checkmate. You know what I mean? Like that brother said checkmate, and he waited. And you got to give him his flowers while he's still alive because he represents the underdogs. He represents the ones that weren't spoken for. He represents the ones who went against the system. And you know, I will always have a certain gratitude and appreciation for him because I'm my own promoter. I'm my own agent. I'm my own marketer. And when you're able to go out there and say, this is what I'm demanding and I'm sticking to my guns, you're always going to be a fan of somebody like Katt Williams, who goes up against the system and don't have a problem with speaking up for those who are in the same position of looking for entrepreneurship and independence.
So as you asked me before, how did things in comedy change when the interview came out, or did it change for you? Did it get better, worse?
It didn't change for me. What it changed was the landscape of the people he exposed. Like when somebody pull your dress up,
right?
You got on pink panties, then
right.
You know that's what it is, and that's what he did. He pulled a lot of people dress up. Like my lane is my lane, and I'm gonna stay in my lane. I feel so comfortable in my lane because I'm the only stripper comedian in the nation, so I don't have nobody to compete with. No matter what it said at the end of my show, ladies are going home excited, happy, clapping, and wet.
So let me ask you this, right? Because in a particular part of that interview, you talked about joke thieves, and we've heard that, and we've had that conversation for years now about people taking jokes. Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac and his beach situation, Cedric the Entertainer, pillars in the comedy game, right? And you just alluded to how you're the only one of your kind. So if you start seeing comedy strippers out here, how will you take that? And then on that level, do you see joke theft going on? And what's the vibe like when it comes to comedians taking or borrowing or joke, you know what I mean, similarities and things like that?
I was at a show. It was a comedian said, "Damn, man." He said, "You won the crowd. You won the women." He said, "I should have thought of that." He said, "I should have did that." I said, "Yeah, you should have, but don't think about doing it, brother. Don't think about doing it." And it was another show. I had one of the guys. He had a jacket on, no shirt, and you know his little jean outfit on. And he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna take my shirt off. I mean, my jacket off at my show." I said, "Not at this show, motherfucker. Not at this show, bro. Like, it's only gonna be one stripper comedian here. Like, if that was your idea and you wanted to do that, you should have been did it at your show." So, once you originate something and it's your brand, you're always gonna feel a kind of way if somebody else tries to capitalize off of your idea, your invention, or what you started, or you know, you that was your genesis, that was your essence. So I could see people being upset about joke thieves because that was your creation. That came from your brand, your brain, your hard work. And to see somebody else that's out there winning, knowing that you've done that, it takes a lot of you know, it takes something from you. You feel like you've been robbed. You feel like somebody took some money out of your pocket. So I sort of understand that, but it goes on in the business. I had a famous comedian, two famous comedians take two of my jokes, but I was so new that I looked at it as I must be doing something right if they did it, because I was too new at the time to complain. So I said to myself, wow, if they're using my material in their sets, that means I must be on to something. So it hurts when it happens. And I think what Corey Holcomb said it best. He said everybody does it. Everybody sees something and you probably put a little flip on it. You probably try to market different, but when you do it word for word, it's not good. I heard a guy do a joke. It was so good that I tried to expand on it and put my flavor on it, but I didn't take his joke word for word. But the subject matter and what he did was so good, I said I had to try and put my spin on it. So comedians do that. I don't think it's a problem if the jokes are down the same similar path, but if you take it word for word, I think that's where the problem becomes in. Like if you take the context like Cedric did, like Steve did, like Katt had receipts. And when you came up with the receipts with Mark Curry, when you came up with the receipts with Katt, it was undeniable. So when you have undeniable receipts, it's a black eye on your credibility as a comedian.
Let me ask you this, Mike. So within that context, for example, you seen Katt Williams in the beginning of, I don't know if it was, I think it was his second comedy special when he came out with the Every Damn Hustler and he was turning the music off and he was doing the fries and shit. And people compared that to JB Smoove when he was on Def Comedy Jam playing the music and doing his thing. Would you say that was an extension of Katt Williams kind of taking that and putting his spin on it, or did he take that joke in your opinion?
when you see JB Smooths and you see Katt side to side, you can see where Katt Williams was influenced by that, and you can see where he got that, took it, and tried to put his spin on it. But it's not so much of your spin; it's to see where you were influenced, and you got to say, "Hey, that was JB." Now you try to put a Katt spin on it, but you can see where it was JB's, and that was his outline, that was his his project, how he architected the joke, and Katt. You could say, other people did it to you, but you have to be honest and say you got that from JB.
So JB came out and said he had beef, and he never did. And I don't know. He don't seem like the type of dude that ever would. But if he had came out and said that, Katt, you a joke thief yourself, would he have base to say that?
Absolutely. He would have grounds and merits. I've met JB. Man, when you talk about a class act, when you talk about professional or persona, when you talk about cool, he just exemplified something that you could just admire, class. I mean, the dude, when I saw him go onto the stage, it was like he was floating. And those kind of people that you're in their presence, you know that they have a different kind of reverence and a different kind of mindset, to where it's like, I'm never going to down my people, and I'm never going to put anybody on blast when I know at the end of the day we're all going for the same opportunity, the same goal. So JB, I could meet him for this brief period of time I did, was a class act and something that I could aspire to be like.
How do you feel about, a lot of people are talking about comedian or comedy battles, like Kevin Hart versus Katt Williams, kind of going back and forth in a busting match like we used to do back in the day? Your mama this, and going back and forth. How do you feel about that? Comedians doing that, and would you ever partake in something like that if it was available?
Absolutely not, and I don't think comedians should, because there's an arena for that. There's a stage for that. There's a Wild and Out. That's for that. Yeah. But as far as being a comic, that takes a level of being able to write material, being able to deliver it. You got to have class, charisma, a style, a presentation, and be able to deliver the jokes where the crowd is engaged and enamored in your set. You have to captivate the crowd. That's being a real comic. That's being a real comedian, an actual comedian. But being a nigga who up there telling jokes, you can find anybody in the hood that can just get up there and do that. We know cousins, uncles, crackheads, the drunk around the corner who just sit there and crack on you. That don't take a lot of effort. It don't take a lot of mindset. So when you take it to that level, you're almost taken away from the craft.
How's your comedic pen evolved throughout the years, and what's some of the mistakes that you may have made on stage or throughout a joke that made you kind of evolve in your comedic, repertoire? I'm saying.
Every time I came home, in my home club at the Stress Factory, and I got to give a kudos to Derek Stevens for always believing me and always booking me, him and Vinny Brand. It was pressure for my pen to grow and for me to bring it to another level, because I couldn't bring the same set back home. Right. So every time I came back home, they were looking at me like, yo, we paid for a ticket, we want to see a great show, and we don't want to hear the same jokes. So that's how my pen was able to grow, because I had the pressure of bringing a whole new set to an audience that was expecting a great set and didn't want to hear the same jokes.
Right. What's your thoughts on comedy specials? And have you ever done one, or do you plan on doing one at some point?
I did one on CJ Crack's comedy special they had out. It hasn't come out, but we did it last year. So I don't know. It's almost like shooting a movie. I shot like 3 or 4 movies, and then they haven't come out yet. And it was like a year or 2 ago. So you just have to sit there and wait. And sometimes it's a surprise to you, like it's a surprise to everybody else. But when you're hot enough and your name is out there, you don't have to ask for a special. They'll come for you.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Where have you seen the biggest growth in your game throughout these years? I mean, where have you seen the biggest growth?
I think the growth just comes in every show, making sure that show is for that audience. You know, some comedians like to look to the future. They like to look ahead. And I remember listening to a speech by Will Smith when he said his father knocked down a building, a wall. He knocked down the wall in front of his building that his father owned, and him and his brother had to put the wall back up by the end of the summer. And he said as they were putting the wall back up, they went brick by brick, brick by brick. And they said when they looked up at the end of the summer, they had a wall. So what I took that mindset is saying, I look at each show and I go show by show, show by show, and eventually I have a career. So the growth is coming, not looking past that show, giving everybody the best I can at that one particular show. And when that show is over, doing the best I can at the one that's the next show that's after that.
Yo, let me ask you this: when it comes to your comedy style, are you somebody that when you write jokes, you're creating moments that are funny, and how much of your real life is incorporated within your comedy set?
Oh man, I try to incorporate as much of my real life and my reality as I can. And I think, you know, when you're transparent and you're vulnerable and you speak on things that actually happen, that I do comedy for the culture, you know. So I've been invited to places that were like Martha Vineyards, churches, and you know, different settings. And I told you guys before, I said I do nigga comedy. I do nigga shit. So I can't come to everybody's show. Like, I'm in my lane and this is where I'm gonna be, and I'm not getting out of that lane. So I've turned down a lot of bigger shows just to stay with the culture, to say this is it. I'm gonna talk about if I'm dealing with erectile dysfunction, I'm going to pop a Viagra on a young girl. I'm going to talk about if, you know, I went to your house and I saw roaches. I know what that felt like. I had roaches growing up too. I'm going to talk about what it felt like to have to wash your socks out in the sink because your mother didn't take it to the didn't go to the laundromat, and you went to school with wet socks. So, you know, my commentary is based on real life, you know, situations and things that we face.
Right. So what's next on the horizon for you, man? What do you ultimately want to see, you know, take your career? And what do you want to be known as when it's all said and done in the comedy game?
Well, already I'm known as the professional side nigga. You know, some people out there calling themselves the toxic side nigga, and they took a little bit of that, and I wasn't upset because I'm the professional side nigga, and I can date that back to 2017. And you know, that's my brand. My brand is the professional side nigga, the stripper comedian. It's gonna go where it's gonna go. You know, you're gonna find your tribe finds you. You find your tribe, and your tribe finds you. So I've been watching it grow. I've been watching the success. I've been watching, you know, different cities asking me to come out, and my schedule is full. I've done, you know, 4 or 5 movies right now. So it's just a matter of taking it day by day. You know, I can want certain things, but I'm going to stay in the place of, you know, the moment, and I allow the moment to dictate what's going to be next.
So how much like of your show, I know to a certain degree, obviously it's scripted, it's memorized, but is there ever a time where like you're feeling yourself so much and the audience is in it and you kind of ad lib or add something, you know, in the moment that you could do?
Yeah, because, you know, comedy is like music. If you're in a zone, it goes higher and you go higher and the show is building. So sometimes when you build that momentum so high, the crowd is with you and you're with them, and it's a synergy. And you got to get off script and just let them know I'm with you. I'm rocking with you, and you got to acknowledge them. And they give you that round of applause where you got to wait for it to, you know, simmer down and then pick back up into your set. So absolutely.
You said numerous times, excuse me, that you've done movies. Did the comedy kind of open up a door for the movies, or is film work something you've always wanted to do? How did you get into film work?
It was actually the comedy. The Liquor Run is the movie that's being shot now. They shot 3 premieres, one in Atlanta, one in Newark, one in New Brunswick. It was written by Vernon Thomas, directed by Jamal Hall and Cornelius Grim Whitaker. And it should be coming out, I think, sometime this year. But they picked me for the part as a guy in the Hoochie Daddy shorts, Daryl. And that became because he went to my comedy show and saw me stripping. So he said, I got the perfect part for you. So it was my show that got me the typecast part in this movie called Liquor Run. I got picked up for the promotion, and that was through comedy. That was directed by Al Kareem Hood, written by Vern Thomas as well, and that should be coming out, I think, June 2024. And the other movie I was in by Chris Mamando, we met on the set of Liquor Run. He does a mafia movie, so that was sort of a serious role. But through like anything else, you get the buzz, the energy, and things just start picking up, and that's how it happened.
That's beautiful, man. Congratulations to you. We got Mike Ross on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Mike on the mic. Go follow him on all his social media platforms. We'll get all of that information before we conclude the interview. I got one more question for you, brother, and definitely appreciate your time. And it's dope to see your growth. We remember when you were a firefighter. You know what I mean? We came to the studio, you were doing your thing in New Jersey, and we were talking about that. And comedy wasn't a hobby, but it was in its beginning stages.
Yeah.
And the confidence in your eyes wasn't the way the confidence is in your eyes now, and how it's, you know what I mean, streaming through the damn camera as we speak. It's dope to see, man. Definitely proud of you.
Definitely.
You said you were 51 years old, man, and as black men, you know what I'm saying, getting up in age, you look at that and it almost looks like you've kind of transitioned into another stage in your life and you're having just as much fun. We haven't known you your entire 51 years, but it seems like you're enjoying life now more than ever. What was the thought? What's the thought behind that? And how is 51 as that stage in your life as a black man doing what you're doing? How does it feel to be 51 where you're at right now?
Well, we all know black don't crack unless you smoking crack. So if you're living a basic lifestyle, we're going to age gracefully. But for the most part, it's been a spiritual growth as well. You know, just waking up, understanding most black men don't make it to 51. And I remember being young, immature, dumb, wild, and crazy. So when I think back all the crazy things I did and I'm waking up, I feel the responsibility to say, not only am I doing comedian, but it's my job to make sure I'm giving back to my community and blazing a path and a trail for others to follow. And so many people have come to me saying, you know, I was thinking about doing comedy. I want to do comedy. And it's like, I'm always, you know, saying, hey, come out to the show, invite your friends and family. You never know where it might go. This is how it happened for me. It was just by happenstance. It was not a plan. Like you said, I had a career. And once I saw, you know, through prayer, through meditation, through the law of attraction, through, you know, writing things down, foreseeing it, and believing in it, it continued to grow and mature. So as I saw the growth in it and I saw the path, it was me putting the work in and believing. I mean, the biggest part of anything is the belief. So you have to believe in yourself before anybody else will. And, you know, I remember coming down to the studio and seeing you guys' studio and seeing what you were doing. I said, yo, these brothers are going somewhere. Because not only did you guys have the ambition and the direction, but you had the belief. And it was like parallel journeys. And, you know, when I saw you guys go to the new studios, I saw you guys get, you know, a bigger platform. And I saw you guys on a level to the point that you got other, you know, podcasters hating on you for your growth. I'm sitting there like, you know, a proud older brother, like, those my niggas right there. I knew it was going to happen. So as our journeys grow together, it's just a blessing. So it's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of, you know, law of attraction. It's a lot of meditation.
Absolutely.
Powerful. Good man. Yeah.
Definitely appreciate you, Mike, on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast, man. Appreciate what you be seeing in front of the camera, and definitely appreciate the relationship that we're growing and establishing off the camera, brother. Because, you know what I mean, some of them texts come through clutch sometimes, brother, and I definitely appreciate that. Let the people know where they can find you, man, the shows you got coming up. Get the people the information on how they can keep following Mike on the mic. You
can follow me on Mike Ross Comedy. That's for all the ladies who want to see a great show, great laughter, great comedy, and a great sizzling, sexy, tantalizing show at the end, where, you know, you get a touch of, you know, stripping. It ain't no wild show, you know, little something that you enjoy. But you can find me at Mike Ross Comedy on Instagram. I'm at Mike on the Mike Comedy on YouTube. And my next show in New Jersey is at the Stress Factory. That's March 10th. So make sure you make it out. March 10th, I'll be at the DC Comedy Corner. February 2nd. My next show after that is Atlanta Comedy Corner in Hateville, Georgia. So make sure all my family in New Jersey come out to support. And hey, I'm looking forward to making it happen and continue to make the growth happen.
Yes, sir. Sure. We can continue to watch it, man, and support from our side, man. But until next time, brother, Mike Ross on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. As always, brother, it's an honor, man. Salute. Keep doing what you're doing,
bro.
Salute. Stay blessed.
Peace. Stay off real quick. Stay on real quick. All right. We all.